Hello and welcome. To anyone new to this video thing, we'll certainly take any feedback, process, or content. As the Night Prince, I'll be presenting some thoughts on A Song of Ice and Fire. With any luck, some of it will prove useful. I'm hoping to begin with a series intended to explore some of the parallels and rhymes in the books. I think they work quite well to understand what's happening, and to a point work to some extent as a tool for predicting to a limited extent. The easiest to begin with is the rhyme between Dany and Jon. Originally, I had been exploring the implications and purpose of some of the elements within Dany's narrative. At a certain point, it became clear many of these elements and story notes existed with Jon as well. What I had assumed was something intended to give the reader a flavor of some past event actually seems to simply be a reflection of another contemporary narrative. This is where I'll begin. The idea is somewhat similar to essays that compare historical myths like Horus or Mithras. While the details take different forms, some of the basic ideas share a basic sort of checklist, like being a child of a god, dying and being resurrected, and some of their deeds. This video is more of an introduction. I'll detail it more in follow-up. But as an introduction, let's look at Dany in A Game of Thrones. We begin with Dany getting married and setting off to Vaes Dothrak in the Dothraki Sea. This story will take her there and see the death of her brother and then Drogo. For a moment, assume this narrative can be used to predict future elements in someone else's story. We should see that character in some way marry. They should then set out into a sea of some sort, which sees them arrive at a hill or a mountain, or some other figurative island in that sea. Their brother should die, and at some point afterward, the king or leader of that group should also die. As we can see, Jon kneels before Weirwood, and is figuratively married to the Night's Watch. Following this, the Watch sets out on arranging into the haunted forest, or a sea of trees. This takes them to the Fist. Later, Robb will die, as will Jeor. This rhyme between their narratives continues throughout the books. Jon atypically hitting those story notes first, as she has greater ground to cover before she arrives in Westeros. In my next video, I'll detail this rhyme and make a couple of general predictions for Jon. These rhyming narratives are not unique to Jon and Dany. Most characters have a rhyming partner in the story. I'll continue this series with them. Thank you for staying this long. If you did, I look forward to joining you again as the Night Prince soon.